This is one of the saddest exhibits, because what happens is that obviously, as Ari keeps mentioning, people were told that they were going to come to a better place, so of course people bought their Tallisim. I think of this place literally every single day when I put on my Tallis. You know, every morning there are people that say the L'Shem Yichud. And I would think, again, as we said today, the Noida Yehuda didn't hold of saying these things, Baruch Nafshi, all these things before. But for me personally, ever since I started coming here, I cannot go a morning without saying the Baruch Nafshi that you say before you put on the Tallis, and I'll tell you why. The Loshen is, Ukashem sha'ani b'schasa b'Tallis ba'olam hazeh, kach eskel l'chaluka d'Rabbanan l'Tallis noah l'olam haba. The Tallis really represents a protection in this world, a protection in the next world. And for these people that were here, the Tallis only had a limited protection until they came here. And now they wait in the Olam HaEmes, and I'm sure they are protected by the Tallis Noah l'Olam Haba. V'ayidei mitzvah tzitzis tinotzel nafshi v'ruchi v'nishmosi. It's very hard to think about every morning, to think that the whole idea of the Tallis is to protect not only our physical beings, but our neshamas and our nefesh, to protect us from outside factors. So I want to tell you something that Rav Shamshon Fall here says on the pasuk that I have underlined in my siddur that we say in this Baruch Nafshi. V'hatalis yifrois kenofo. The Tallis is like a wing. If you take a look at it, if you have anybody ever sees a picture of a malach, a drawing of a malach, it's like with wings, sheish kenofayim, 6 wings. So the Tallis is like a wing over a person, which is protection. And the pasuk tells us, "Kinesher yorir kinoi," just like the eagle wakes up its nest, al goizelov yerachef, it hovers over the little birds. And Rav Shamshon Hirsch has a fabulous pshat on this. He says, what does the pasuk say? If you look at the pasuk, the eagle says to its children, "Trust in me, have faith in me, I'll protect you, but you got to jump up. You got to trust me. You got to take the first step." And what he says is that it doesn't say that the eagle flies and picks up the little birdies. It hovers over the nest and it says, "Trust me, jump on my wings, and then I'll protect you." And that's really what the Tallis is. When we put on the Tallis every morning, Hashem Kal Yochel is saying to us, "Trust me, do something extra, show me that you care, and then I'll protect you." And that's really what the Tallis is all about. And so I want to share with you a story. What does it mean to take the first step? This story, I just heard just a few months ago. It was an amazing story about a fellow who lived in America, became very wealthy, and moved to Eretz Yisrael. And then he would go down to do business. He would come to America to do business in New York, and then he would visit his non-religious relatives in Miami. And 2-3 years ago, when he was in Miami, he saw that the fellow was wearing a yarmulke all the time, and that he had a mezuzah on every doorpost. There was a sefer on the wall, on the table. And he said, "What happened, Nati and Zahava? You became frum." He said, "Yeah, let me tell you how it happened." And he said, a few years ago, it was a very hot afternoon in Miami. My wife and I were sitting on the porch, and all of a sudden we noticed a whole bunch of people walking towards the water, but they were well dressed in suits and ties and jackets. And I said to my wife, "Oh my gosh, it's Rosh Hashanah. These people are going to Tashlich. I haven't been in Tashlich for years." He said, "I don't know what possessed me. I went into my house, I took my kippah, and I decided I'm going to walk behind these guys." And I walked behind these people, and then they came towards the water. And I saw everybody's taking out their machzorim, and they started davening. So somebody comes over to me and says to me, "You read Hebrew?" I said, "Of course I read Hebrew, I'm an Israeli." He said, "Do you want to say what they're saying?" So I said, "Tashlich." And just as I was about to leave, a guy comes over to me, and he says to me, "Excuse me, did you hear shofar today?" I said, "Shofar? I haven't heard shofar in 7 years. I haven't been in the synagogue in 7 years." He said, "I happen to be the Baltakeya. Would you like me to blow shofar for you? I happen to have my shofar with me." Like, he couldn't believe it. And he says, "Okay, if you want to blow shofar." And the guy took out a shofar and he blew 30 koilos. Everybody turned around. "When did you ever hear shofar by Tashlich? I thought Mashiach is here. What is this?" And then he's about to leave, and the guy says, "Let me tell you something. my name is Moshe Katz, and he's thinking, this guy's a nerd. Who cares what his name is? We're not friends. I'm out of here. He says, no, I want you to remember my name. My name is Moshe Katz, and I'm the Baltakei here. I saw where you live. You don't live so far from the synagogue. If you ever have any questions, either call me or call the rabbi. But just remember, my name is Moshe Katz. And he says goodbye to him, and he goes home. And his wife says to him, how was everything? Tells him the whole thing, that they asked him if he was in Israel, if he could read Hebrew. He said, yeah, because he's an Israeli. He said, then the weirdest thing, this guy, Moshe Katz, he blew shofar for me. She says, who blew shofar? He says, Moshe Katz. She says, you're positive that's his name? He says, yeah, why? She says, that was the name of my Zayda. My Zayda who died a long time ago. He was the Baltakei in Bialystok. I can't believe that the same name of my Zayda, who was the Baltakei in Bialystok, blew the same name, this person blew shofar for you. Well, they both got the chills. They couldn't believe it. Like, what was the chances of that happening? So for 2-3 days, he said, we didn't do anything. And then we went to the shul. And the rabbi was so understanding and so sensitive. And he was the one who brought us back to tshuva. And this guy embraced his cousin. He said, I can't believe it. And wherever he went, he told the story. And he came to Eretz Yisrael and he told the story to Rabbi Chaim Kanievsky. And he said, Rebbe, do you believe such a story? So he said, Rabbi Chaim said, these things happen every day. Hashem orchestrates amazing things. Sometimes we don't get to understand it. So listen to what the guy asked Rabbi Chaim and listen to the teretz that Rabbi Chaim gave. And that's the whole reason I tell the story. He asked Rabbi Chaim, if Hashem wanted my relatives to become from, why didn't he send them Moshe Katz 10 years ago? It's a good kasha. He wanted obviously Hashem wanted these people to become from. So, you know what Rabbi Chaim said? Hashem waited for him to take the first step. When he put on his kippah, and then he went to Tashlach, Hashem said, now I can send them Moshe Katz. And that's what the Tallis is. The Tallis is over us like the eagle, but we have to take the first step. We have to show Hashem, we have to do something extra, to learn something extra, to daven a little better. Maybe as Mr. Younger said, that guy Taka who davened in a minute and a half, that was very, very precious. Maybe we have to remember to Taka chaparine the davening with the kavanah that guy had. Of course, we shouldn't daven in a minute and a half, but for him that represented a commitment in Gehenna itself to daven. And if we make those commitments and we take that first step, that's how Hashem will protect us.